So in this example, they want us to write an equation for a transformation. They give us a parent function right there. Okay, so it says write the equation for the function described below, give the horizontal asymptote, the domain, and the range. Okay, so there's our parent function. Now you might have some questions about, well, how would I graph that if I had to graph, e to the x? We can do that. Just plug in -1, 0, and 1. Well, if you plug in -1, you can do that on your calculator, e to the power of -1. It turns out to be about 0.4. These are just going to be approximations because we're going to graph them. If you plug in 0, though, e to the 0, that's just going to be 1. And then if you plug in 1, you're going to get 2.7. That's the approximation for e. I'm just going one decimal place because I'm graphing. And if I plug in a 2, it turns out to be about 7.4. I went ahead and did that on my calculator. So you're just putting in like e squared on your calculator and finding that. Okay, if I graph this parent function, then it looks like this. 2.7, and then at 2, 7.4. It's like, not quite that high, but about there. So it's an exponential function like we're expecting, and it looks like that. Anyway, that would be f of x. Now what they want us to do, and we'll call it g of x, they want it to stretch by a factor of 2. Do I have to graph it? I don't think I have to graph it. Write the equation. Okay, so I could graph it, but I don't have to. And it's reflecting across the y-axis, and then it's shifted up 4 units. So let's take each part. If it's got a factor of 2, a stretch factor of 2, then it's going to be multiplied by 2. So I'm going to call this g of x. Yeah, let's do this. Say our new function is g of x. And then we're going to have it be a stretch factor of 2. It's going to reflect across the y-axis. That means it's going to be going like, well, it's going to be bigger because it's going to have a stretch factor of 2. So 2 times 2.7 is like what, 5.4? So it's going to be like up here. And I wasn't going to graph it. And then the other one is going to be, oh, it's off. Should be next one over. So it's going to be like there. And then you would have at negative, oh, no, I needed to scoot it over one more. Okay. So it would be at -1. We can do this later when we get the equation. It's probably easier to get the equation first and then graph it. But it's going to be somewhere in there. Then it's going to go through this point right there. And then it's going to come down here. And it's going to do something like this. All right, we'll see that when we get the equation. But we know a stretch factor of 2 places a at 2. Then it's reflected about the y-axis. That means that it's going to be the opposite of x. So we need to have our e, that's the base, and then it's going to be the opposite of x up here. Now, you can write that as 1 over e to the x as well. I probably wouldn't. I probably would just leave it like that. And then the whole thing is shifted up 4 units. So it's not shifting to the left or the right. It's just shifting up. So that's going to be a +4. Oh, I didn't shift it up 4 units. Okay, so I forgot to shift it up 4 units. So it'd be like up here. I'd have to like redo all these points. And then it'd be up here at 6. And then I'd go up here at 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be like a little bit above there. So this would be the actual graph like that. So not that other one I have drawn. Erase that. Erase that one. The points help me though. It kind of helps to have that so you can see then how to shift it. Okay, I imagine we have to do domain and range and asymptote, and we're going to do that. Anything else on this one? You could make a table of values here. Oops, there goes my G. You could make a table of values here and make sure that those points are accurate, but that's what's going on. Okay, I won't make the table of values. But we have to do the horizontal asymptote. Okay. Because the whole thing shifted up 4 units, it's going to be y equals 4. And that is a horizontal asymptote. And then they want to know the domain. The domain's going to be all real numbers. And then the range. Now the range is going to be different here. It's not actually going to touch 4, but it's going to go from 4 to infinity. And so then that would be the information they were asking. They don't ask you to graph it. I tried to draw a graph there so you could see it. And you could make a table of values and do more with that if you wanted to.